Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Let's go. Well, what happens now? Well, right now, you are in the beginning of a Kamala charm offensive as MSNBC and CNN and ABC and CBS and the media try and act like, isn't this exciting? Don't you love this flavor? Isn't this good? And they're talking to you like you would trying to convince a 6-year-old to eat their dinner. No, that's meat in the spaghetti sauce. That's not vegetables. You're going to love it. Look, your sister likes it. Isn't this, just try it. Please just try it. Just try it. Just try it or we're grounded. Just try it or you're going to have to live under Hitler again. But really, what's next going to happen? What's going to happen next? I don't think they know. I think they're figuring this out in real time in front of your face, and it's kind of fun to watch. My next guest, Anthony Russo, is probably enjoying the process quite a bit from the Truth Will Set You Free podcast. I have a feeling that if they knew who they really wanted next, they would have announced it when Joe Biden stepped down. I think they're making it up as they go along, Anthony.
Well, first off, I just want to say I'm unburdened by what has been and what will be. Little nudge to Kamala Harris. I think that they have absolutely no idea what's going on right now. In terms of you're looking at this and they only care about the messaging of Project 2025. They don't care about who their candidate is. If they did, the actual statistics from 3 days ago, they would take heed on. 3 days ago, New York Times did a poll in terms of likely voters for the Democrat Party, who they would want to replace Joe Biden. Kamala Harris came in 10th out of a 10-person survey. So I as much as I believe as though they know what they're doing, and I think they know what they're doing with their messaging, I don't think they know what they're doing with this pick.
Well, they don't get the pick. When I say they, little D Democrats don't get the pick. I guess there's a handful of donors that can actually make the decision, and it depends on if they like Kamala or not.
That sounds like a super democratic process, doesn't it?
Well, this is what you do to protect democracy, yes.
I mean, it's such a joke at this point, the party that threatened democracy. And honestly, I don't want to absolve Kamala Harris from the guilt in this. I think she's the most guilty because she knew what was going on all along. You're going to tell me a woman that works hand in hand with the president is going to be absolutely surprised, shocked, and chagrined that he is going to step down right before the election. This was part of the plan that she was a process of. And that process completely took away, I believe, 13 million votes of Democrats across this country. I may disagree with the reason they vote a certain way or their belief systems, but at the end of the day, they were robbed of the democratic ability to choose a primary system where they would pick who they wanted their candidate to be. And now we literally have just, quote unquote, coronated Kamala Harris. And well, again, it's not official until middle of August, but we've essentially coordinated somebody based on heavy donors. And I think those heavy donors are not energized either, but I think they're in fear of realizing they're in deep trouble right now. So they just completely are just manipulating like a puppet the Democrat Party.
I have a hard time believing anybody is surprised at Joe Biden's decline. They have to be pretending because this was like the number one joke in talk radio for the last 5 years. It'd be like pretending, oh, I've just heard of masks. Why would people wear a mask? That's so weird. So, of course, Kamala knew. Of course she knew. But she can't say, yeah, I was just lying to you for the last 5 years just as an excuse to grab the reins of power. But Democrat voters don't see it that way. What can change their mind, Anthony?
What can change your mind in what direction is the question? What exactly are you asking in that sense?
Right. So for the people that I want as many people as possible to wake up and be like, oh, yeah, they were lying to me all these years. Is there any way we could make that process happen more often?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were saying how the Democrat voters would all of a sudden be like, yeah, Kamala. So you're saying, how can we wake people up to the fact that clearly this has been a master plan of the Democrats? Well, I think we continue to talk about it and show it. Like I can tell you, I bounce back and forth between the different mainstream media quite a bit. Like I'll look at the MSNBCs and the CNNs and the Foxes, and there's a huge barrier between the two. So ultimately, social media is the way to go. I think social media has started that shift. To ask me the question, how do we wake them up? I think this did it. For people that were willing to open their eyes, this was it. I don't know if you've talked about it, but there's Dane Cook, the comedian. He did something on TikTok, and he did a poll, red, blue, and let's be honest, TikTok, you're going to think that it's leaning towards the liberal side no matter how you look at it.
Well, yeah, because it's definitely younger.
97% out of over 10,000 votes. Now, if you look at polling is done with, I believe, 1,350 something is the magic number when you do national polls. 1,350 specific voters. This was over 10,000 people on TikTok. 97% put the little red dot instead of the blue dot. Again, is this the end-all, be-all? Is it anecdotal? Yeah, it's anecdotal. But fact is, you've got a leftist platform that is clearly showing that the tide has shifted. At this point, I really struggle to see what they can do in October. And again, how far this Project 2025 messaging will go to be able to truly – to me, there's just no chance a legitimate election goes to the Democrats on a federal level at this point.
Anthony Russo, is there a candidate you're most scared of if, Kamala doesn't work out? Who do you think is most likely to beat Trump?
I've said it for a long time, and I think Gavin Newsom is dangerous just because even though his policy is terrible, I think he sends up a powerful, polished front. But at this point, I think there was a calculated mistake putting Kamala up so quickly and so early. The Obamas have not coronated her, so I find it interesting that they've taken the step back. I think that right now this decision to go so quickly waters down if they end up replacing her at the last minute. I think throwing in Gavin Newsom now might be inconsequential because then it'll be like, wow, this is a gigantic panic. So I really, honestly, if you want to ask me the question, nobody scares me at this point except for an illegitimate election or more assassination attempts, which I think both are very popular, or possible, not popular.
Yeah, definitely popular with some sickos out there. What's on the latest episode of the Truth Will Set You Free podcast?
Well, it's Truth Tuesday. So tonight at 6 o'clock on pretty much all the social media channels, we are talking all about this. We're going to talk more about the assassination attempt that, there's rabbit holes that people have gone down pretty dang deep. So we're going to talk about the lack of democracy from the left, the party of democracy. And of course, this just the whole Cheadle situation and the fact that I think she was put in there to make sure one more day before she resigned so that she could stonewall Congress and make sure the American people did not hear what really happened that day.
All right. So you people who regularly listen to podcasts, I want you to go listen to every single episode of the James Show podcast and then check out The Truth Will Set You Free with Anthony Russo. Thank you, Anthony.
Thanks, brother.
All right, your thoughts on what Anthony just presented, because the same questions I presented to him, I'm going to be presenting to you. Kamala seems to be the presumptive nominee. Will she work? If not her, then who? If it is her, then who will be her VP? And does it matter? Do they have any chance of winning in November? It is not looking good. We'll go sample some audio from around the reaction in the media coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. As election 2024 painfully limps along like a car with 3 flat tires, we are watching a charm offensive come through the media. They are solidly behind Kamala Harris. And they're not calling her the nominee. I am interested in the adjective that comes before this. The presumed nominee, the presumptive nominee, the de facto nominee. Well, these people are not going out and really saying, hey, this is the best person in a nation of 330 million people to run the country. They're saying, well, this kind of gives us the best chance of beating Orange Man bad. And really, I don't want to tell you she's the best because we may have to tell you somebody else in a week or so is the best. And so they're holding off on that. They're holding off on some of this. But make no mistake, they are testing the waters. They're sticking their toe in the shallow end to see if the water's warm. And if it's not, Kamala will be forgotten. Kamala will be pushed aside. I don't know how they do it. They just have 4 other fires to put out at the same time. Like right now, they're also going to, in the background, be fighting the question, should Joe Biden step down as president? The fact that he resigned, you can kind of already guess that some Republicans in the House are moving forward with the 25th Amendment article to say, hey, if he's not fit to run, then he's not fit to finish his last 6 months in office. I don't know if that's the fight you want to have, but that's the one the Democrats are facing, along with trying to find a new candidate, along with trying to keep their donors happy, along with trying to keep the voters the millions and millions of people who voted for Joe Biden in the primary process. How do you keep them happy? Man, I don't know. They are in a tough situation, and they don't want anything else to distract them from the race. But look, the Democrats, they're having a hard time right now. Let's not pick on them. If you've got some friends that are on Team Blue, like, just check in on them. Hey, bud, you doing okay? You doing all right? Listen, man, I can get you like some card games or like maybe a chessboard so you can occupy yourself when we send you all to the concentration camp. But I got a nice reminder for you from a homeless guy on Instagram on how to take this. If you're having a hard time, Democrats, just remember this advice.
Hey, I'm just here to remind you that when life isn't horrible, it's actually pretty good. So if you just don't think about how horrible it is and think about how good it is, then it gets better. Even though horrible stuff's still happening, there's still a lot of good stuff.
Stellar advice on the James Show. To the phones we go. If you want to get in line, 800-288-9227. I would love to hear from you. Jesse in Fort Worth, you're on the James Show on WBAP. What do you think, Jesse?
Well, sir, as I told your call screener, I don't believe America is going to put American sovereignty in the hands of people. The only thing that's important to them is woman's right to get an abortion and diversity and equal rights for all people. Because you look around the world and see the condition of the world and the wars and stuff, the condition of Israel and everything. That's what's going to be important. And I hope Trump if they ever get a debate, I hope Trump treat her just like he treated Biden in the last debate. Let her put her foot in her mouth, because her speech today, everything she was accusing Trump of was a lie. It was all a lie. And I would just hope he treat her just like he treated Biden, because I'm telling you, the America's sovereignty is on the line. That's what's on the line. Now, I can scrape and scrub, work 2 jobs for myself, and don't have to worry about taking subsidies from the government or anything like right now. And I'm a black man. I'm 66 years old, and all my bills get paid every day, every week. I'm on Social Security. I got my Social Security. I got my retirement. I got everything. But it's the sovereignty of this country. What's going to put a hedge around this country that we do not fall in the same hands as the Chinese or the Iran, and they think the most important thing is a woman's right to get an abortion. The most important thing is DEI. I don't think Americans are going to do that. I don't.
You're bringing up an interesting point. If Kamala does win, we're going to have a president who wasn't chosen by the people. You're going to have a president. The candidate was chosen by we don't even know who these people are. The donors behind the scenes that pulled the rug out from under Biden. They're the ones who chose this candidate, and so we chose between the handpicked candidate of some shadowy elites and then the guy Orange Man Bad, who is getting like 100% negative coverage from every platform but Fox News.
And so who's trying to destroy democracy?
Why doesn't everyone see that? Why doesn't Team Blue see that? Why doesn't half the people that call in this show from the Democrat Party see that?
What they're doing right now is against the democracy and it's against the Constitution. What they're doing right now is the only way they can cheat. I mean, like I say, Kamala Harris should have never been vice president. Joe Biden should have never been president. And then tell me 74 million people voted for Donald Trump, the most incumbent ever guy, but yet this man come up out of nowhere with 81 million?
Yeah, it's not believable. I'm with you on that one. All right, thank you, Jesse. Right. Good call, bud.
Thank you.
Let's stick with the phones. Michael in Dallas, you're next up on WBAP. What do you think, Michael?
I think your podcast guest dramatically underestimates the ability of the mainstream media to push the left's agenda. And everything's going to be about abortion and Project 2025 and Trump's a threat and this and that and the other. And saying that we see no path for them to get elected just is going to make people complacent. We need to get out and vote and make sure he gets elected. We can't just have this attitude that Kamala is a cackling idiot and there's no way she'll get elected, because the media is going to push her. They were already pushing her. Oh, the greatest first speeches ever, and announcers jumping up and down in their chairs. They're going to push the heck out of her. So we better get out and vote and not take it for granted.
Right. And as powerful as the media is, and that is a decidedly a huge advantage you have for Team Blue. You know, the media didn't beat Trump in 2016. Trump beat the media. And if you believe that the election was not up to the full integrity of free and fair election should be, then really the media didn't beat Trump in 2020. That's been the anomaly for this guy, is what a beating he has been able to take from the media. And it doesn't seem to hurt him as much as it's hurt previous guys.
But the laws that were in place for 2020 are most of them are still in place for 2024 in terms of ballot harvesting.
That should be a huge concern.
And all the things they put in place.
Are we going to do something about that before the election happens? I think it might be too late to fix some of that.
You know, the way they're dealing with it is they're going to try and push to get out the vote and vote early for Republicans. You know, that's what Lara Trump has been pushing. But the laws are there, so we've got to play the laws just like they played the laws and not just be high and mighty and say, well, we vote on election day.
I hear you. All that sounds.
We got to play their game.
Sounds like solid advice. Thank you very much, Michael in Dallas. If you want to be on the James Show, 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. Should Joe Biden step down as president and not even finish out his term? I don't think you want that. That would make Kamala president. Now you're running against an incumbent. What are you going to do? You're going to kick out the first black female president? It just make things a little uglier. You're on a coast to win. Let's just put it in cruise control. Not complacent, like Michael said, but let's make no sudden movements here. I think you're in a good spot. This is the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Those of you on the southern portions of the WBAP broadcast area overlap with the previous job I had, where I was working for another company, so I won't name them, but I was out of a station in Waco for a few years, and every once in a while I hear from one of those old people who found me on WBAP, and you know what? It's good to see you too. Happy to see you too. I'm glad we didn't miss this election. And the reason why it's kind of a special group of people is this is who I was hanging out with when Trump got elected the first time. This was around 2015, 2016, 2017 is when the James Show was down there. So any of you guys, if you're like, is that the same dude? Yeah, that's the same dude. I'm still fairly immature, so you will continue to be disappointed. But the charm offensive is on. Kamala Harris is on the clock. Her audition begins now. If she can get some good polls, she's the presumptive nominee. This is hers to lose. There's just not a whole lot of enthusiasm out there. As an example, Chuck Schumer was trying to rally support on Capitol Hill earlier today, and he had that Jeb Bush moment. Do you remember when Jeb Bush did the please clap? He was doing some event, and he said like an applause line, but the enthusiasm was so lacking that he had to tell them to clap, and it's kind of sad.
It's my pledge to you. I will be a commander-in-chief that will have the back of the military. I won't trash talk. I won't be a divider-in-chief or an agitator-in-chief. I won't be out there blowharding, talking a big game without backing it up. I think the next president needs to be a lot quieter, but send a signal that we're prepared to act in the national security interests of this country to get back in the business of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
Oh, man, that's awful. That's like when your mom tells you you're handsome. It doesn't really count now, does it? So Chuck Schumer did that earlier. I think this was this morning, earlier today. Similar moment, same energy.
So now that the process is played out, from the grassroots bottom up, we are here today to throw our support behind Vice President Kamala Harris. I'm clapping. You don't have to.
He was the only person that clapped. Aww. They don't seem to be so enthusiastic about Kamala. That's terrible. Eric, not you, Bushman. Eric in College Station. You're on the James Show on WBAP. What do you think, sir?
Well, I mean, I think you nailed it. Kamala is just basically giving it a good old try.
I don't understand why they don't like her. Do you have a theory on why she's not more liked even in Democrat circles? She checks, the female box, person of color box, the California box.
Well, I mean, it's her track record, to be quite honest. I mean, she's put more black people behind bars than Joe Biden. And she's put more black people behind bars than Kamala Harris. And I think and she's just a very, very bad candidate. She can't articulate exactly what their position is, and I don't think they're willing to risk it with her out there as at the forefront. To be quite honest,
do you think the average Democrat voter is really aware of her job, her record as a prosecutor in California, and that's why they don't like her?
I think it's been pretty explicitly stated. The fact that she has bedded the ladder from her time in California all the way up to the vice presidency. It's not a unique situation here, and then unfortunately for her, she doesn't have anything to fall back on.
Did you say bedded? Did you say bedded the ladder?
Oh yes.
I like that term. Mind if I adopt that into my lexicon? That's a good turn of phrase.
It is yours, my friend.
Thank you, Eric in College Station. Bedded the ladder. I like that. Butch in Fort Worth, you're next up on the James Show on WBAP. What do you think, Butch?
Well, I got a question. What is Kamala Harris doing with all of that money that she so-called inherited from Biden when he dropped out?
Yeah, I don't know what's happening with that previous money, but the money that she's raised in the last 36 hours, they're telling you she's raised like $80 or $100 million and it's some sort of record. I think that's all going to be, she can do whatever she wants with that. I'm not sure what the rules are on the previous money.
Well, my thought process is this. But suppose she names her success or her running mate. Okay, she's got a running mate now, and then she drops out. Does he or she running mate get that money?
Right? They could just keep kiting the donations all the way until they find the guy they actually like.
Yeah,
that would be interesting to see.
Guy that polls were good or something.
They might try that. Hey, and if you're a Democrat out there, listen to Butch. Try that. Jasmine Crockett and her people might be listening. That might not be a bad idea. Thank you, Butch. I appreciate that. I'm going to squeeze in one more. Glenn and Granbury. We only have like 1 minute. Can you make it quick?
Yes, Michelle Obama will be the next president of the United States. They're going to trot Kamala out here for about 3 weeks. She polls lower than Joe Biden. The deep state Democrats are in total control. A coup has run the United States government for the past 3 years. Donald Trump is in serious, serious danger. These deep state Democrats, these satanic Democrats, will not let Trump win. And Michelle Obama will come in, save the day, and you get Barack Obama for another 4 more years.
Well, you sound so positive in your prediction. Do you think there will be another assassination attempt?
Yes.
You're not the first I've heard.
Trump will not. He needs SEAL Team 6. The Secret Service. Did you watch the hearings on the Cheadle, the Secret Service lady?
Out of all of it, maybe watch like 20 minutes of it.
They are in on it. Watch them question her. The McLaren questioner, the Signal app. She's in on the hit, and Donald Trump and his whole family is in serious trouble.
Well, I am also a guy that is cautious to not assign something malice that could be just as easily explained by negligence or incompetence. But you may very well be borne out to be correct there, Glenn. He says Michelle Obama will be the next, not nominee, president of the United States. I love that prediction. I hope it's not true. 800-288-WBAP. This is The James Show. Coming up next, we'll talk to Matthew Wilson from SMU and ask a political science professor about what he sees coming up next in election 2024. It's The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Welcome back to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Coming back to the show is Dr. Matthew Wilson from SMU. And I want you to clear up some of the questions that we've been having from me and callers and probably random people on the street. And what happens to the donations now that Joe Biden has stepped down? Kamala is the presumptive nominee, but nothing official has happened now, because some people are saying, well, Kamala can still use that money as long as she's going to be the nominee. And some other people are saying all that money has to be refunded or given to a PAC or some other organization. Do you have an answer for that, Matthew?
Yes, I provisionally. I think that because her name is on the filings and it was the Biden-Harris campaign, that the money can transfer seamlessly to her. She'll be able to use those funds. If the Democratic nominee were someone else, would be more complicated. It would have to go to a PAC, and then, the PAC couldn't coordinate with the campaign. But her name was on the ticket and the campaign filing to which these donors gave this money. So that was one of the advantages she had in terms of getting the Democratic nomination, was that the funds could most easily transfer to her.
Okay, so then even if she's not the nominee, though, it's not like that money has to be given back. It's still going to be used for the campaign, just not directly by the campaign themselves. It'd be with a you call it super PAC?
Yeah, and then they couldn't coordinate their spending directly with the campaign, but they could still spend it on behalf of Democratic causes and interests.
Which is just as good.
More or less. And the reality is she is going to be the nominee. I mean, she's already locked up the majority of delegates, the Democratic convention. Everybody's coalescing behind her. So I don't think the financial part of this is going to be a big issue.
Right. I think the bigger issue is if on Thursday or Friday, when they get back finally a week's worth of polling, that if she's doing even worse than Biden, or if someone, conversely, there's someone that is doing very well, I still think there's a chance Kamala could get dropped and replaced.
I think it's really unlikely at this point. First of all, because the very earliest polling that we've seen shows her doing about as well as Biden was doing. Biden before the last week of real kind of free fall. That is, she's maybe on average behind Trump by a couple of points, which is about where Biden's been for most of this race. But also at this point, they're going to have a virtual roll call before the actual Democratic convention to choose a nominee in time to get on all the state ballots. And so I think anybody else has just really run out of time.
What's this virtual roll call process?
Well, this is something that the Democrats have put in place this time because of some laws in Ohio and Washington and a couple of other states. Their convention is unusually late this year, and those states have laws in place that, they need to have a name and print their ballots earlier than that. So Democrats have been talking about a virtual roll call of the delegates that would take place in the first week of August so that they would name a nominee and go ahead and get them on the ballots in those states. So that's why I say that time is really running short. And in fact, is just about exhausted for anybody other than Harris.
That sounds so bizarre because not only are they not going to let their candidate be chosen by all the voters in the primaries and caucuses, they're not going to let them be chosen at the convention like the old process used to be before the primary process. They've now come up with this whole new system that I don't think we've ever chosen a candidate by roll call vote before.
By virtual roll call, no, we haven't. That's a new thing. And look, they want their convention to be a 4-day infomercial, just like the Republican convention was, and just like all both party conventions have been for decades now. They want all their ducks in a row so that they can focus for 4 days on promoting the nominee, which is going to be Kamala Harris, and on attacking Donald Trump. They don't want any drama at the convention.
What do you think about the talks of a 25th Amendment article being pressed against Biden to get him out of office before January?
Well, that would require Kamala Harris and a majority of the cabinet to agree to that. And I don't see that happening right now. I mean, I think it would have to be obvious further deterioration in Joe Biden's health before that would happen. But I do think that was part of the threat against him that Pelosi and Schumer and others used to force him out. The rumor is that was the hardball that they played when they came to him and said, look, either you get out or we're going to start publicly talking about the 25th Amendment, and this is going to get messy. So now that he has stepped aside, I don't think that will happen short of a clear further deterioration, but, we'll see.
Yeah, I also heard in the rumor mill that there was maybe some medical records or, psych evaluation records that would be released that would have tanked him. It's so weird to see a party force their own candidate out of the race.
Yes, it is. And to force him out not over policy disagreements, like, there was pressure on Lyndon Johnson in 1968 within his own party to get out of the race. But that was over a policy disagreement regarding the Vietnam War. This is not about any policy disagreement. This is strictly about their perception that he didn't have what it took to be an effective candidate.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Matthew Wilson, for taking some time to be on the James Show yet again. Take it easy over at SMU.
Oh, happy to do it.
All right. Matthew Wilson, SMU political science professor on the James Show. All right, we have an evening with the Pretenders. Their U.S. Tour 2024 is coming to the Pavilion at Toyota Music Factory Tuesday, August 6th. You a Pretenders fan out there? Well, they're going to be here in just like 2 weeks. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. But you have a chance to win a pair of tickets from us. Text ROAD to 800-288-9227. The word ROAD, R-O-A-D, to the same number you used to call in, 800-288-9227. Let me see if I can look, Pat, you only have 30 seconds for real, but I didn't want to leave you hanging since you were on hold so long. What you got?
I understand. I believe that Kamala Harris is unpopular with Democrats because she's going to let part of their secret agenda slip, which is population reduction. And she's already said it once. Thank you. All
right. I wish I had time to reply to that, but that's a good way to end the show. Thank you, Pat in McKinney. For more James Show, we have the James Show podcast. It's wherever you're already listening to podcasts, whatever app you open up, even if it's owned by another company. Give me a shot. Type in the James Show or James Parker Show, some version of that, and I'll pop up. Also, find me on social media, whatever platforms you prefer, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I don't care. Look for me there too. James Parker, James Show, something to that effect. And help me get the word out about this show. Find me, subscribe, like, follow, share, tell a friend about it. This has been the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.